Starting with today's themes from the newspaper The Hindu. Northeast India battered by rain, lakhs affected. इसमें जो सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है जो कि आपको ध्यान देना है वो डिज़ास्टर मैनेजमेंट है, क्योंकि डिज़ास्टर मैनेजमेंट मेंस का टॉपिक है और इसमें रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशंस कैसे कैरी ऑन होते हैं वो इम्पॉर्टेंट है. माइल्ड टू हैवी रेन कंटिन्यूड टू बैटर large swathes of the northeastern region on Sunday, with floods and landslides damaging more than 900 houses in Manipur and Mizoram, while 1,500 tourists were left stranded in northern Sikkim. Rescue operation. The Indian Air Force on Sunday rescued 14 people who were stranded in middle of the फ्लडेड बोमजी रिवर. ये जो बोमजी रिवर है ये किसकी ट्रिब्यूटरी है, किन स्टेट से पास होती है, ये इम्पॉर्टेंट है, ये आप मैपिंग पे देख लीजिएगा. इन द लोअर दिबांग वैली ऑफ अरुणाचल प्रदेश बॉर्डरिंग असम. दिबांग वैली इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट जोग्राफिकली. द IAF flew an Mi-17 helicopter following requests from the Arunachal Pradesh and Assam governments. Now this editorial is very important for the essay writing. The university under the attack, universities undermined. इसमें जो है आपके व्यूज़ पूछे जा सकते हैं, जो भी अभी रीसेंट सिनेरियो चल रहा है ऐसे में काफ़ी मतलब ये हॉट टॉपिक हो सकता है ऐसे के लिए. तो आपको इसमें क्या कहते हैं, इस एडिटोरियल के माध्यम से आप अपने व्यूज़ डेवलप कर सकते हैं. प्रोज एंड कॉन्स क्या होना चाहिए, वे फॉरवर्ड क्या होने चाहिए, सो उस हिसाब से मिल मिला के आपको सब लिखना पड़ेगा. Universities are facing unprecedented challenge, while in India the challenge has been growing over the last 3 decades. In United States it has been erupted since President Donald Trump took once in January 2025. The challenge has been growing elsewhere too, as society's expectations from the universities are changing. The Trump administration is freezing $3.2 billion of the Harvard University's grants and contracts. There is a move to revoke Harvard's tax-exempt status, which will cost it a few hundred million dollars. Harvard's president Alan M. Garber has said that political disagreements could pose an existential threat to the educational institutions, because a cut in funds is used to coerce universities to change their policies regarding student admissions, protest on campus, faculty recruitment, and diversified equity and inclusion DEI programs. In India, control of institutions of higher learning and has increasingly slipped out of the hands of academics to the bureaucracies in the Ministry of Education and University Grants Commission. For the last 40 years, academics in India are facing growing challenges related to teaching and research work. The institutions they work in do not come to their defense, as in a recent case in the prestigious private universities. सो एज आई टोल्ड यू कि ये जो रिफॉर्मेशन कैरी ऑन होना चाहिए, देखिए क्वेश्चन ऐसे आ सकता है कि व्हाट रिफॉर्मेशंस आर नीडेड इन द एजुकेशन सिस्टम. ठीक है, तो आप इसको पढ़ के अपने व्यूज़ डेवलप कर लीजिए और इसके ऊपर नोट्स बना लीजिए विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू मेंस कि आपके क्या व्यूज़ होने चाहिए, व्हाट रिफॉर्म्स आर नीडेड इन द एग्जिस्टिंग एजुकेशनल सिस्टम. द इनहेरेंट टेंशन. The inherent tension in a social role of universities on one side is that they are required to generate socially relevant knowledge to meet evolving challenges society faces. while on the other hand they are expected to reproduce the existing societal structures. To fulfill their creative roles, academia requires autonomy. And this is a very important aspect because it is the autonomy which enables academics to take long-term view of emerging social challenges. The heart and soul of the creativity is what it makes the societies dynamic. Unfortunately, rulers, while paying lip service to this, are hollowing it out in practice. सो ये जो ऑटोनॉमी है जो कि यूनिवर्सिटीज़ को देना चाहिए, कहना ये चाह रहा है कि जो आपके पॉलिटिकल जो एंड ब्यूरोक्रेटिक जो सिस्टम है वो उसको डाइल्यूट कर रहा है क्योंकि ऑटोनॉमी दी नहीं जा रही है और उस वजह से एजुकेशन सिस्टम पे काफ़ी इफ़ेक्ट पड़ रहा है. Autonomy enables academics to take a long-term view of emerging challenges, even anticipating them. Given the accelerating pace of change, by the time society becomes aware of the change, it becomes too late to tackle. For instance, developments in artificial intelligence and social media are leading to challenges for employment. Again, employment. ये बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट है. एआई और उसका रोल एम्प्लॉयमेंट में, इससे एक और क्वेश्चन बन सकता है. क्या हो सकता है? ये मेंस ओरिएंटेड टॉपिक्स है सब और इस पे आपको ध्यान देना पड़ेगा. द इशू ऑफ फेक न्यूज़ एंड द नेचर ऑफ द वॉर. Autonomy enables current orthodoxy to be challenged and facilitates the generation of new knowledge. Without Galileo challenging the church, our understanding of the universe would not have advanced. So this can be taken as an example for essays. Okay, क्योंकि ये इस पर साइकोलॉजिकल ऐसे आ सकता है तो आप इसे एग्जाम्पल के तौर पे यूज़ कर सकते हैं. Further dynamism comes when academics who are aware of their own assumptions question them. Academics are product of time-consuming process. In a shotgun approach, the system produces original thinkers who change the course of their discipline and give society new leads. The wider catchment area, the higher the chance of producing excellence. Autonomy is not just for a vice chancellor or a director of an institute, but it must be embedded in the structure of the institution to enable the autonomy of functioning to individual academics. Challenging orthodoxy ought to be the second nature of the academics, which includes their own institutions. While that slows down decision making in the institutions, it results in more robust decisions. Authorities running these institutions have to accept this and function democratically. Dissent is essential and not a malaise to be eliminated. A bureaucrat or a bureaucratized academic world would not understand this, and that is why such people are most often not suited to head universities. Challenging the orthodoxy produces the tensions between what universities ought to be and what rulers expect of them. Heads of institutions of higher learning have to negotiate these tensions, and academics and are better suited for it than those with bureaucratized mindset. Cultivating dissent makes universities anti-establishment while the rulers expect them to promote their agenda and reproduce the existing social relations. A feudal system would not like the birthright of the rulers to be challenged, and capitalist system would want docile labor rather than aware workers who challenge the notion of the dollar vote. That undermines the democracy. सो डेमोक्रेटिकली अगर ऑटोनॉमी दी जाए तो वो क्या रोल प्ले कर सकती है, वो ये पैराग्राफ बता रहा है कि ऑर्थोडॉक्सी को चैलेंज किया जा सकता है और bureaucratized administration will not work for the universities to prosper. अगर हम चाहते हैं कि हमारी यूनिवर्सिटीज़ प्रॉस्पर करे, टेक्नोलॉजिकल एडवांसमेंट हो, तो इस आर्टिकल में यही कह रहे हैं कि ब्यूरोक्रेटाइज्ड एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन नहीं चलेगा. ऑटोनॉमी इज़ इम्पिडेंट. Anti-establishment character is anathema to regimes with a narrow agenda and lacking in confidence. They limit autonomy to help push their agenda. They neither need new ideas nor value them, thereby downgrading the role of the universities and their social status. Forces academics to become status quo. Both rapid technical change and marketization create a mist of the future, resulting in short-termism and stultified view of the society's future in the past. We all know कि जो आज के समय में एजुकेशन सिस्टम प्रेवलेंट है, उसकी वजह से काफ़ी अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेट हो रहा है, और उसका कारण कहीं ना कहीं जो हमारे यहाँ जो अभी प्रिवेलिंग एजुकेशनल स्ट्रक्चर है वो काफ़ी इम्पॉर्टेंट है. सो ये जो है ना, ये या तो इस साल के मेंस या अगले साल के मेंस का काफ़ी हॉट टॉपिक होने वाला है, और हो सकता है इस पे क्वेश्चंस पे. आई एम नॉट प्रिडिक्टिंग द पेपर, बट येस, ये जो है ना, ये काफ़ी इम्पॉर्टेंट है क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं सोशोलॉजी से रिलेटेड है, बिकॉज इट अफेक्ट्स द सोसाइटी एज वेल. Both rapid technical change and marketization create a mist for the future, resulting in the short-termism and a stultified view of the society's future and the past. Complex ideas are neither understood nor valued and are turned into a caricature and ahistorical view of the society is propagated to fit the agenda of the rulers. Existing divides among people are exploited to further a narrow agenda and propagate conservatism by caricaturing an increasingly complex society. Democratization via internet is helping the process by propagating instant ideas and opinions so that the imaginary is perceived to be the reality. This helps the rulers to push their agenda. So that is why transformation is very much needed. क्योंकि अगर हम ब्यूरोक्रेटाइज्ड एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव सिस्टम्स रखेंगे, मतलब जो कंट्रोलिंग अथॉरिटी है वो ब्यूरोक्रेसी के हाथ में होगी, तो उसका रिज़ल्ट ही ये होगा कि वो फिर एक कंजर्वेटिव अप्रोच वाले लोगों को आगे बढ़ाएंगे, और वही लोग स्टूडेंट्स होंगे, और उसकी वजह से काफ़ी ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम आएगी जो कि पॉलिटिकल एजेंडा को प्रपोर्ट करेगी. The US and China have operated with a long-term agenda which has enabled them to dominate the fast globalizing world, which is witnessing a rapid evolution of technology and ideas. For this, US created a huge system of independent universities and research institutes and attracted talent from all over the world. This is now being undermined by the attack on US universities and their faculty. Funding and autonomy. Columbia buckled under the pressure, but Harvard has stood firm and challenged the government in the court. It has received support from academics. Education and research are expensive, we all know that. The faculty of universities need funds for the projects across the board in science and technology, social science, and art and culture. Science and technology is crucial for development, but so the social environment in which it flourishes. Creativity is multidimensional and requires a holistic view of research. Further, higher education ought to be free of strings to preserve autonomy. Private sector funding tends to be largely linked to the profit motive and affords limited autonomy. The burden then falls on public funding. This has been the case not only in India but also in the US. Only a liberal ruling regime can consider providing united funds. In India, since private sector spends little on research, public funding is crucial. Post 1991, public funding in India declined per capita in terms and staffed institutions of higher education. This enabled the state not only curb autonomy but also push its agenda by appointing people of its own proclivity as the heads of the institutions and also allowing them limited autonomy. So that is why, to encourage proper research work and technological advancement, autonomy is very important. The key role of institutions of higher learning is to generate socially relevant knowledge. This requires autonomy to challenge orthodoxy, which makes them appear to be anti establishment. This is a social tension in their role as reproducers of the societal structures and generators of the new knowledge. Creeping short termism has led to simplistic understanding of the society and growing conservatism. Often the imaginary masquerades as often the imaginary masquerades as new knowledge. All this undermines the value of universities in the society and they get hollowed while retaining the facade and none is left to defend their autonomy. This is what Harvard's Dr. Garber pointed out. So next topic is regulating India's virtual digital asset revolution. India continues to lead grassroots crypto adoption for the second consecutive year. In Geography of Crypto report by Chainalysis 2024, a National Association of Software and Service Companies (NASSCOM) report finds that Indian retail investors poured $6.6 billion into crypto assets and predicts the industry could create over 8 lakh jobs by 2030. India also boasts one of the largest and fastest growing Web3 developer cohorts. Rocky journey of crypto, known as the virtual digital assets. In India, within the domestic regulatory and policy landscape, in May, the Supreme Court of India questioned the absence of comprehensive and clear crypto regulation in India with a remark banning maybe shutting your eyes to ground reality. This observation highlights the dissonance between VDA reality and VDA policy, which has created significant challenges for regulators and market players. Navigating India's VDA regulatory gaps. India, as a country of strict controls and tightly regulated payment systems, has found it difficult to reconcile these frameworks with the decentralized nature of VDAs. So यहाँ पर decentralization होना बहुत ज़रूरी है to get VDAs prosper. The Reserve Bank of India, as domestic regulatory of monetary policy, began expressing concerns about the potential threats of the crypto as early as 2013. अब RBI के अकॉर्डिंग थ्रेट्स क्या है क्रिप्टो से, उस पर करेंसी पे, जो आपकी फ़िज़िकल एसेट है करेंसी, उस पर क्या असर पड़ेगा ये आपको ढूंढना पड़ेगा, थोड़ा सा आपको स्टैटिस्टिकली फाइंड आउट करना पड़ेगा और इसके ऊपर नोट्स बनाने पड़ेंगे. हाईलाइटिंग द रिस्क एसोसिएटेड विद देयर लैक ऑफ ऑथराइजेशन फ्रॉम एनी सेंट्रल बैंक और मॉनेटरी अथॉरिटी. Despite this warning, the market saw unassessed growth in India, leading the RBI to issue second circular in 2018, barring financial institutions from dealing with VDA-related entities. This restriction proved short-lived, with the court overturning the circular in 2020. The government turned to prohibitive taxation policies as a stopgap measure while appropriate regulations were formulated. These are जो regulations framed out हुए थे circular में, दोनों circular में फर्स्ट सर्कुलर एंड सेकंड सर्कुलर जो कि आरबीआई ने इशू किए थे, और उस पर कोर्ट का क्या रिएक्शन था 2020 में, आप उसके ऊपर भी कुछ नोट्स बना लीजिएगा सो दैट यू मे गिव एन अप्रोप्रिएट आंसर, क्योंकि ये मेंस रिलेटेड टॉपिक है। इकोनॉमिक्स में मेंस रिलेटेड टॉपिक इकोनॉमिक्स एंड टेक्नोलॉजी से रिलेटेड भी है, बिकॉज ये डिजिटल एसेट की बात कर रहा है, क्रिप्टो की बात कर रहा है। एंड क्रिप्टो करेंसी के ऊपर भी थोड़ा सा टेक्निकली आप रिसर्च कर लीजिएगा कि ये ब्लॉकचेन टेक्नोलॉजी है, इसका क्या यूसेज है, क्या इसका मतलब जो है इंटरेक्शन रहता है, किस तरीके से यूज़र इंटरेक्शन कैसे रहता है, तो ये सब आपको ढूंढना पड़ेगा। For VDAs under the Income Tax Act, a 1% deducted, a 1% tax deducted at source TDS on VDA transactions exceeded rupees 10,000 under the section 194S, and a 30% capital gains tax under section 115 BBH, which disallows loss offsetting. Estimates by various industries, reports and think tanks show that between July 2022 and December 2023, India's traded over rupees 1.03 trillion worth of VDAs on non-compliant platforms, with only 9% of estimated rupees 1.12 trillion on VDAs held on domestic exchanges. Trade volumes on a blocked exchange rebound after temporary declines, and web traffic to these platforms rose by 57%. Users continue to bypass restrictions using virtual private networks, that is VPNs, mirror platforms or servers, and by migrating to other non-compliant changes. Now, what is the role of VASPs? Guidelines by global standard setting bodies such as International Monetary Fund, Financial Stability Board, and the Financial Action Task Force. Coverage in favor of comprehensive and risk based regulation that is harmonized with international standards. A process that is underway. इसमें आपको इतना बस पता करना है कि इंटरनेशनल मॉनेटरी फंड, फाइनेंशियल स्टेबिलिटी बोर्ड, फाइनेंशियल एक्शन टास्क फोर्स, ये किन के ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस है। बहुत ज़्यादा डीप में जाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है क्योंकि यूपीएससी इतना फोकस नहीं करता है इनसे, लेकिन ये किसके ऑर्गन्स हैं, ठीक है, क्योंकि क्वेश्चन ये भी आ सकता है कि यूएन के ऑर्गन्स हैं या नहीं है, इंटरनेशनली कैसे ऑपरेट करते हैं, कितने कंट्री मेंबर्स हैं इसमें, इनके लॉज जो हैं बाइंडिंग है या नॉन बाइंडिंग है। तो इस तरीके से आपको इस पर स्टैटिक नोट्स इन पे प्रिपेयर करने पड़ेंगे। However, these frameworks and regulations rely on domestic compliant intermediaries or virtual asset service providers that act as a bridge and eyes for regulators. These intermediaries facilitate the alignment of VDA industry with existing laws, enforcement of policies, and enhance visibility over the ecosystem, while providing crucial inputs concerning on the ground issues. In contrast, India's existing policy regimes, which inadvertently pushes VDA users offshore non-compliant platforms, erodes the country's ability to mitigate the risk presented by VDAs, as well as tax revenues that may have otherwise been collected. In comparison, VASPs, Indian VASP platforms are sharpening their teeth and maturing rapidly, having shown a willingness to comply with the regulations and act in good faith. For example, their collaboration with the Financial Intelligence Unit India has been instrumental in strengthening the anti-money laundering and terror financing controls, earning positive feedback from the Financial Action Task Force (FATF). ये कल भी न्यूज़ में आया था, आप FATF पे थोड़ा रिसर्च कर लीजिएगा. The aftermath of the devastating hack in 2024, which wiped out $230 million for the showcase the proactive measures by the Indian exchanges. Many stepped up efforts such as enhancing cybersecurity measures, setting up dedicated insurance funds in case of the future thefts, and uniting to develop and enforce industry wide cybersecurity guidelines. So this can also be linked with some cybersecurity questions, और पूछ सकते हैं कि इनका रोल क्या रहा है साइबर सिक्योरिटी में. ठीक है, वी पी एस का, पी ए पी एस पी का, सॉरी वी एस पीज का. नीड फॉर फ्रेमवर्क. These possibilities signal the critical role played by VSPs towards the safer digital asset ecosystem combined with their contributions to national value creation and economic growth. These platforms present a more viable and constructive channel for funds to flow through under the oversight of the regulators, move beyond the current policy status where the tax is levied without meaningful regulations. A balanced, pragmatic, and future-proof regulatory framework is necessary. India must take decisive action to create a comprehensive legislation that the crypto industry requires while mitigating associated risks. So next topic is India's rise to fourth largest economy bellies per capita reality. The International Monetary Fund recently projected that India will edge past Japan to become the world's fourth largest economy in 2025. While this marks a notable milestone, comparisons based solely on gross domestic product. So ये जो comparison किए गए हैं GDP के basis पे किए गए हैं, offer limited insights into the lived realities of the people. Absolute GDP figures are useful in understanding the size of an economy, but they do not capture how wealth is distributed, how developed a country is, or how its citizens are faring. They mask disparities of population size, cost of living, and income inequality. A country may have a large economy, but doesn't necessarily translate it into prosperity or improved living standards for the people. So अगर हम यहाँ पर कंपैरिजन में चार्ट्स को देखें, चार्ट 1A एंड चार्ट 1B, तो इस केस में देखा जाता है कि चार्ट 1A में इंडिया की जो एब्सोल्यूट जीडीपी है वो एस्टिमेटेड है कि दैट हैज़ राइजन फ्रॉम $468.4 billion in 2000 to $4,187 billion in 2025, narrowly surpassing Japan's figures. But अगर हम चार्ट 1B देखें तो इसमें जो है India's GDP capita is 12 times. It is 12 times lower than Japan's in 2025. तो ये comparison बताए गए हैं. This is the chart. Just see in chart A they have shown that India की जो GDP है वो जापान से ज़्यादा है, और साथ में सेकेंड बी जो चार्ट है, सॉरी फर्स्ट बी जो चार्ट है उसमें इंडिया की जीडीपी जो है वो एट अ लोअर पेस है एज़ कम्पेयर टू जापान. कंपैरिजन में इन्होंने पोलैंड को भी लिया है. सो टू ड्राइव होम द पॉइंट लेट अस ऐड पोलैंड टू द कंपैरिजन, जिसकी जो ट्रांजिशन है इकोनॉमी की फ्रॉम अ लोअर मिडिल इनकम टू अ हाई इनकम इकोनॉमी is oftenly cited. As seen in chart 1A, Poland's total GDP is around 4 times smaller than India's, but as chart 1B shows, its GDP per capita is nearly 9 times higher than India. While economic growth is an important marker of a country's progress, it is equally vital to assess the strides made in social, educational, health, and democratic indicators as advancements in these areas offer a more meaningful measure of the trust of the true prosperity. The following paragraph presents indicators related to these dimensions. Comparing India, Poland, and Japan. Two time periods, the latest available data and figures from roughly 2 decades. First, consider the nature of employment. Charts 2A, 2B, and 2C. As of 2023, nearly 45% of India's workforce was still employed in agriculture. 2023 की बात हो रही है. 45% फिर उस समय भी एम्प्लॉयमेंट उसका एग्रीकल्चर में ही था सबसे ज़्यादा, इन कॉन्ट्रास्ट टू द शेयर इन पोलैंड एंड जापान that had fallen below 10% with a corresponding rise in employment in the industrial and services sector. So ये charts आप देख लीजिए, सेकेंड 2A, 2B and 2C. एम्प्लॉयमेंट स्टेटस दिखाया गया है कि इंडिया में शेयर ऑफ एम्प्लॉयमेंट जो है एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर में सबसे ज़्यादा है एज़ कम्पेयर टू पोलैंड एंड जापान. Similarly, share of employment in industrial sector in the select countries in 2000 in between 2000 and 2023, इसमें पोलैंड का सबसे ज़्यादा है, फिर जापान है एंड देन इंडिया. फिर शेयर ऑफ एम्प्लॉयमेंट इन द सर्विस सेक्टर, ये इंडस्ट्रियल सेक्टर था, ये सर्विस सेक्टर इन द सेलेक्ट कंट्रीज इन 2000 एंड 2023, इसमें जापान का सबसे ज़्यादा है, देन पोलैंड एंड देन लीस्ट इंडिया का है. सो दीज आर ऑल्सो द इंडिकेटर्स जो कि डिफ़ाइन करते हैं कंट्री के प्रोग्रेस को. ये मेंस के पर्सपेक्टिव से इम्पॉर्टेंट है. On regular employment front, the share of wage and salaried workers, those with formal employment contracts, was just 23.9% in India in 2023 as compared to 91% in Japan and 80.1% in Poland. चार्ट 3 देखते हैं. शेयर ऑफ वेज एंड सैलरीड वर्कर्स आउट ऑफ द टोटल employed population in select countries in 2000 and 2023, इसमें जापान का सबसे ज़्यादा था 2000 के आसपास में. ठीक है, जापान का अभी भी ज़्यादा है 90.5 और यहाँ पर 83.9 है 2000 में. फिर पोलैंड एंड लीस्ट इंडिया का है 15.3 एंड 23.9 2023 में. हेल्थ फ्रंट की अगर हम बात करें, जो नेक्स्ट इंडिकेटर है, लाइफ एक्सपेक्टेंसी जो है 72 ईयर्स है फॉर एन एवरेज इंडियन इन 2023 एज कम्पेयर टू 84 ईयर्स इन जापान एंड 78.5 ईयर्स इन पोलैंड. अगेन चार्ट 5, ये लाइफ एक्सपेक्टेंसी की बात करता है सेलेक्ट कंट्रीज से इन 2000 एंड 2023, जिसमें जापान में 2000 में 81.1 थी और 2023 में एवरेज 84 है. अगेन पोलैंड 73.7 इन 2000 एंड 78.5 इन 2023. इंडिया की लाइफ एक्सपेक्टेंसी काफ़ी कम है, 72 ईयर्स है आज के समय में अगर देखा जाए तो. सो हेल्थ सेक्टर में भी काफ़ी मतलब इम्प्रूवमेंट की ज़रूरत है. द ग्रॉस इनरोलमेंट, चार्ट नंबर 4, द ग्रॉस इनरोलमेंट रेट in college level education in select countries in 1995 and 2025, इसमें इंडिया का सबसे लीस्ट है. आप देख रहे हो 1995 की बात है, 2022 की बात है, ये डेटा शो किया गया है. Gross enrollment rate after the completion of secondary school was 32.7% in India in 2022 as compared to close to 65% and 75% in Japan and Poland respectively. Access to adequate healthcare is also reflected in the country's infant mortality rate, IMR. infant mortality rate आप देख लीजिएगा, इसके ऊपर स्टैटिक नोट्स बना लीजिएगा infant mortality rates के ऊपर, ठीक है. और the number of deaths per 1000 live births of children under 1 year age. While the IMR of all the mentioned countries halved between 2000 and 2023, India's IMR remains at 24.5, while Japan and Poland both recorded less than 5 such deaths per 1000 births. Put together, these reflected in the Human Development Index in the countries. The HDI is a composite measure that assesses. HDI क्या है? It is a composite measure. ये कभी कभी UPSC definition भी पूछ लेता है. तो HDI is a composite measure that assesses a country's overall achievement in health, education, and standard of living. The HDI is expressed as a number between 0 and 1. While 1 indicating high human development, India's HDI is of 0.685 in 2023, which shows a medium development, while HDIs of Japan and Poland crossed 0.9 mark, pointing to a very high human development. Chart number 6. देखिए, Human Development Index of the select countries in 2000 and 2023. इसमें जापान का सबसे ज़्यादा है, जापान का, एंड पोलैंड का है. फिर इट इज़ अगेन 0.801 एंड 0.901, एंड इंडिया का 0.501 है, और अभी इंक्रीज़ हुआ है 2023 में ही इंक्रीज़ हुआ है 0.685 में. So here we end our current affairs themes analysis from the newspaper. Please do like, subscribe and share, and give a valuable feedback if you need any improvements or anything to add on. Thank you.